with me, Councillor Dita Burku, Councillor Stephen Erdely, Councillor Mike Cohen, Councillor Mitch Jafsky, Councillor David Torgman, Councillor Sidney Benizri, Councillor Oren Sabag, as well as staff, including our city manager, Tanya Abramovich, co-city manager, Jonathan Schechter, and associate city manager, Nadia DeFuria, Jason Prevost, our city clerk, and you can see the others on our screen. So I'm going to start off with a moment of silence, but before I do so, I just want to give some context into that moment of silence. In since our last council meeting, 300 people in our city have contracted the virus and 24 people have died. Many of them at Maimonides, but others as well. That's 24 people have died in Côte Saint-Luc since our last public council meeting. That's of COVID-19. Unfortunately, we have lost others as well in the last month. And before our moment of silence for them as well, I'm going to acknowledge certain individuals who played a very significant role in Côte Saint-Luc and in community. The first was Hannah Eliashiv. She was an educator who dedicated her life to education, working at Herzliya, UTT, Solomon Schechter, JPBS Bialik, and she volunteered for many organizations such as the Montreal Holocaust Museum, and we send our condolences to her whole family for the tragic loss. Goldie Hirshon. She was president of Canadian Jewish Congress and chairman of the Soviet Jury Committee, and held many positions in the Montreal Jewish organizations. And for me personally, when I was a young adult involved in Federation CJA and other Jewish organizations, she would encourage me and her kids, David, Cindy, to always do good in the community. She was an inspiration to us all. So my condolences to her husband, who was a dedicated caregiver for many years now, Shelley, and to the entire family. Ruby Shulman. Ruby Shulman passed away recently of COVID. My condolences to his children and to Toby. You know, I remember Ruby from way back when I was, after I was 1979 on my first trip to Israel with Combined Jewish Appeal, I ended up getting involved in campaign. And who was there taking all the pictures? It was Ruby Shulman. And he would make everybody feel good when we received awards or when we were doing good. He was there to capture the moment. And he was as good a friend to everyone as he was a photographer. And in our city, he was a fixture here. You would see him either sitting on a bench with Toby or at one of our buildings or participating at the men's club. And he was doing so well until COVID, 2 days after it really got bad, and that was it. So our condolences to the Shulman family. We also lost a real icon for baseball, Johnny Elias. And Johnny, in 1964, he came back to Montreal, played for Granby in the Quebec Provincial League, and in 1967 he pitched for Canada in the Pan American Games in Winnipeg, and in 1968 to 70 he played for Three Rivers, winning 2 more championships. In 69 he was hired to pitch batting practice for the Montreal Expos, and it was in 1970 that he got into teaching baseball, and he started his baseball school. First in TMR, and then 3 years later, he moved it to Côte Saint-Luc, allowing youngsters to learn baseball skills and techniques from veteran coaches and many Expo players who gave inspiring instruction. He helped several of his students sign professional contracts over 27 years of the school. He was awarded the Ambassador of the Year for Côte Saint-Luc in 1998, and 3 years ago, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and my wife, Elaine, and I went with him and Marlene, his wife, to Quebec City for the award, and were they deservingly proud. So my condolences to Marlene and to the entire family. we'll hold a moment of silence, and then of course, if any other counselors want to say something afterwards, that's fine. But we will have a moment of silence for all those who we have lost. Okay, counselors, if you wish to add to my comments before I go and give some good news, feel free to do so. I know there's many of the counselors who had special connections to some of the individuals that I just mentioned. Not seeing things well. There you go. Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, it's quite an interesting group of people you just spoke about, and I could speak about probably most of them, but I'll reserve my comments for a few. Johnny Elias, of course, I think when COVID is over and we're able to get back to having our golf classic, the golf classic is a day of golf, but also a banquet where we've been able to honor some of our esteemed sportsmen over the years. And in 2017, we honored Johnny Elias, who was in the early stages of Alzheimer's, but he was not in a state where he knew what was going on. And Daryl Levine did an outstanding video on him, which has been not only played all over social media in the last few days, but I sent it to Mitch Melnick of TSN 690. And Mitch did a beautiful piece on Monday, or sorry, it was Friday, with Bill Lee, who Mitchell Brownstein went swimming with at the ACC a few years ago. And that was a remarkable banquet where Johnny Elias got his honor. And Harold Cammie and I were talking on the weekend, and we're saying, thank goodness that we were able to do that for Johnny. And I know I've spoken to Councillor Kajavsky, and you know, this council is going to talk about honoring some of our esteemed citizens, maybe in the new year in different naming capacities. It's been one of my portfolios, and certainly I think we have some great ideas for Johnny. So sad to see him go. I went to the Grand Slam baseball school. One very quick anecdote: when my brother and I went to the school one summer, Terry Francona, who now manages the Cleveland Indians, which is changing their name. He's one of the greatest managers in baseball history. He was the left fielder for the Expos, and Brad Mills and Johnny Elias went and said to my brother and I, said, can you bring Terry Francona and Brad Mills back to his hotel? And so they got in our car, and we drove Terry Francona and Brad Mills back to their hotel. And Terry Francona became like a buddy of mine for the next couple of years. I wonder if you'd remember me now that he's a big manager, but Johnny Elias brought superstores into our park, and Kerwin Park was put on the map thanks to Johnny. I won't go long. Goldie Hirshon, of course, I had a very personal relationship. I was the National Director of Communications for the Canadian Jewish Congress for 11 years. Goldie was the president for 3. So I became very close with her, very close with their son, David, who was, of course, ran a young adult group with me. And Cindy Hirshon, who's really a very involved community person, and right now is a customer service head at the TD Bank at the mall. And Goldie was an amazing person from an amazing family. She became my constituent about a decade ago, sadly, when she had Alzheimer's, and I wasn't really able to speak to her, but Shelley Hirshon would not have her placed, and he cared for her 24/7 with assistance. Shelley Hirshon is a saint, and Goldie Hirshon's legacy will live on. And it's just ironic that there's a lot of talk about Canadian Jewish Congress being revived, and Goldie Hirshon is certainly in her memory. We're going to push that through. And just a note on Hannah Eliashiv, of course, in her latter years, she was at JPPS Bialik, where I worked with her on a very historic program between the English Montreal School Board and JPPS Bialik, where we brought students from Côte Saint-Luc to meet up and work with students from St. Leonard. I remember when the kids from JPPS got off the bus in the parking lot at Laurier McDonald, and they thought they had landed on Mars. I don't think any of them had ever been in St. Leonard before. And we did a joint program where we named, we did a naming ceremony at the Wager. I think you were there, Mayor Brownstein. And we renamed the building, and it was a great learning experience. I worked on that with Hannah, and in the last couple of years, she went to work at Merton School doing their Jewish program. And so we know that she's a community leader, was a community leader. Her husband, Ar Lazar, is, and a lot of people don't know her son is Joey Elias, whose real name is Joey Eliashiv, the stand-up comic. So our sympathies to them. So certainly some people who we're going to have to talk about honoring in different ways in 2021. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to add? Okay, I know Mitch, Stephen and Mitch, you were a student of like Big Johnny Elias. Stephen.
Yeah, I just thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to add to some of the remarks about two of the individuals. One, just to mention Johnny Elias, who I have to admit I didn't have a chance to attend as a child, but got to know later in life. And every time I would pass by his house or speak to him, he would always invite me in, share stories, show me his collection of baseball memorabilia, and just wanted to remind residents. I know many of you haven't had a chance to visit the ACC in a while, but hopefully when things open up again and everyone is back at the ACC, take that time, take an opportunity to go see his collection. He's got an amazing assortment of signed baseballs and bats and jerseys. So I encourage everyone to pass by and take a brief moment to look at it. And the other individual I wanted to mention was Hannah Eliashiv. I have memories of Hannah from the time I was a student growing up in Chomedy, at Taumatora in Chomedy at the time. And she was involved even then at Herzliya and UTT. And of course, I worked with her later on through Solomon Schechter, involved with her on many committees. And it was an honor and a privilege to work with her on and serve with her on the various committees that I did. She definitely is a legend in the Jewish education community in Montreal. So my condolences to those families. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Early. Okay.
I'll be very brief. I don't have much to add to what Councillor Cohen said. I have nothing but great things to say about John Elias. I was going to say that I thought I was the only member of council who attended the Grand Slam Baseball School, but apparently not. So I attended in 87 through 90. So for 3 years, and I had the honor of meeting Tim Raines, Tim Wallach, oh my God, Tom Foley, just name after name. He brought superstars to come and teach us baseball those summers. I can also speak well of John as a neighbor, because I grew up on Smart Avenue right up the street from John and Marlene, and they were great neighbors. My parents speak highly of them, and he remained their neighbor until his passing. My parents are still on that block of Smart Avenue. So he'll be missed, and we'll remember him fondly.
Thank you. So now I also want to make mention of a member of our community who was the good news, who was awarded the Order of Canada, Elliot Lifson. And Elliot has been very active for years as president. He's president of Peerless Clothing, and he's a board member of Export Development Canada. And he's teacher, as professor at McGill University, Faculty of Management, as well as participating very actively in the Siegel Center. He's been a past chairman and currently sits as a board member of the Chamber of Commerce of Montreal, and also of a president of the Canadian Apparel Federation. How I know him best is his love for theater. And he's a great supporter, not only of the Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society, but also of the Siegel Center. And we want to congratulate you, Elliot, for a well-deserved recognition from the government as the Order of Canada. So congratulations to you, Mr. Lifson. And I know Mike Cohen wrote a beautiful piece in the Suburban last week on Elliot Lifson.
Just a small note on Elliot. When I spoke to him, of course, he's my constituent. Very happy to have him as a constituent. We speak very regularly. and he directs the traffic of all the trucks going to the snow dump in the winter for me. I won't be able to visit him this winter due to COVID, but he's come to he's only living in Côte Saint-Luc for 7 years. When he won the Order of Canada, he told them, do not put Montreal next to my name, put Côte Saint-Luc. Now, he lived in Hampstead before that, but his home is Côte Saint-Luc. And the fact that when he goes into the Order of Canada, Côte Saint-Luc is there. So great news. And he's a very a proud resident of our community to do that.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have him. Absolutely. Yeah, he told me it's only Côte Saint-Luc. He's the only one on the Order of Canada list that says Côte Saint-Luc. Very proud. So talking about Côte Saint-Luc. So Côte Saint-Luc today is one of the days, the 5th day of the miracle of Hanukkah. And I want to wish everybody a very happy Hanukkah. But we also have another miracle that happened today in Côte Saint-Luc. The first people in all of Canada, including, I believe, Councillor Burkou's mother, I don't know if she got it yet, got the vaccine right here at Maimonides. It's history in the making. The vaccine has come to Canada, and where did it come to first? Côte Saint-Luc, to Maimonides Hospital, where it's needed the most. And they got the first dose, and they're going to have a second dose in 3 weeks. And hopefully all the residents of Maimonides Hospital will be protected very soon from COVID-19 and be able to have ease of mind and relax. I'm sure Councillor Burko must have some good feelings of this day and knowing that her mom got the vaccine. So it's a real miracle. But I also want to make mention of 2 people that are special to me in Maimonides, in addition to Dita's mom. Cecile Klein, my mother's good friend. Harriet Nussbaum's mom is 113 years old. She survived the Spanish flu. She survived this pandemic till now, and she's getting the vaccine. Spoke to Harriet this morning. I don't know if she got the vaccine today or she's getting it tomorrow, but she's getting the vaccine. So we're really, really happy for that. And also my teacher from Wager, one of my favorite teachers from Wager, Beverly Spanier, who's been a very strong voice and advocate for Maimonides, and who has spoken out about what's needed in order to improve the situation there, whether it's staffing, whatever was needed. She was there, interviewed by all media. And she was as wonderful when she was my teacher at Wager, and my brother Herbie's teacher also before me. And she always made all the students feel good. And no matter if you were in the cool group or the nerdy group or in the whatever group, it was like everybody had to get along in Miss Spanier's class, and everybody had to be nice in Miss Spanier's class. So I am so thrilled to know that Beverly Spanier is getting or got the vaccine. I believe she got the vaccine today, and may she be healthy and well for many years to come. So that's some good news. And I don't know if you want to say anything, Councillor Burku. I know it's very personal, or anybody else, but that's extremely good news for some of our residents. And it's a light at the end of the tunnel for all of us, because we will all eventually, and hopefully before the summer, be in good shape. I'm very hopeful.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would only add that the families and friends of Maimonides is an advocacy group that has been working extremely hard in advocating for the patients of Maimonides, are very thankful. I'm part of that group, and we're all very thankful and hopeful that this is going to really reestablish the good health and the atmosphere that we had before the COVID pandemic hit Maimonides. And we're looking forward to coming through on the other end, because it's been very hard. All the patients have been locked down in their rooms 24/7. They have not been able to even walk out into the hallway. So it's been very, very difficult. On top of those, of course, that got sick and are even hospitalized because of it. So it's a wonderful wonderful day for the patients of Maimonides. Thank you.
And I think Councillor Sabag wanted to say something about the vaccine.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I mean, it's great news to see the deployment and the start of this historic inoculation starting in our town. Very important for people to understand that as we do get through the population that there are a couple of shots that need to be given, another booster 21 days later, and there's no data as of yet in terms of transmissibility, in terms of people who do get the vaccine. So we still need to make sure that you wear your mask and be responsible even if you do get the shot. So that's also incredibly important for people to understand. Otherwise, I heard people dubbing this a day as V-Day for Vaccination Day. So very happy to see things are progressing and in this historic way in Côte Saint-Luc. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a picture of Cecile Klein. She's the second oldest woman in Canada. This is her birthday last year. She was 112, and that's my mom, and that's her good friend Harriet. And this year, on her 113th birthday, because we weren't allowed to go into Maimonides, we held a concert outside Maimonides on that day, and she was able to be brought to the window to hear us singing. And I want to thank Anissa Cameron and Joanne Cutler and Merv Midling and all those and Parks and Recreation and all those responsible for not only that concert, but for all the concerts we gave for people that were not able to leave their residences or their apartments during the pandemic. Okay, so that being said, we will go to the next item on the agenda, which is question period, and I'll ask Maitre Prévost to ask the first question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I get to the questions, just a quick reminder of the process for question period. So people can submit their questions by 5 p.m. the night of council meeting at the email questionperiod@cotesaintluc.org. For a second question period, we're going to open the YouTube chat towards the end of the meeting, and I ask people that are watching to refresh the page before they submit their question and give their name as well. So tonight we have 4 questions. I'm going to start with the first one from Norman Sabin. This past year, Côte Saint-Luc upgraded its traffic signals along Cavendish Boulevard. Part of the upgrade involved installing sensors for left turn lanes that suppress the left turn signal if no cars are detected. This is a great improvement that increases traffic flow and decreases GHG emissions. The intersection of Kildare and Kellert has dedicated left turn signals for cars turning from Kildare onto Kellert. Often there are no cars turning left, so I thought it might be smart to install sensors here too. If no cars are in the left lane turn lanes, 20-second left turn arrows would be suppressed and the time given to Kildare east and west. Okay,
thank you for that question. Detection system was put in place at Kildare and Kellert will be put into place in 2021, which will optimize the intersection for better traffic flow. The project will also include equipment updates, infrastructure replacement, and new programming. So it is on our radar and it is scheduled to take place next year. The next question, please.
Yes, the next question is from Simon Arzoua. It has been a few times that I asked the status of the repairs on the traffic lights on Cavendish from Mackle to Fleet. I've been told countless times that the city is looking into it, that the contractor is waiting for parts, that it's COVID, etc. This has been ongoing for many, many months and it has to stop. We have so little traffic lights in the city, I can hardly make sense of the situation, how complicated it is to get this working. The issue at hand is that the lights are never synchronized between these streets. You get a red on Mackle while it is green on the avenue in Kildare. Same thing when you get to the next intersections. It is dangerous, frustrating, and non-ecological. I would like the following questions answered on the issue by council members and mayor of the city. What is being done for the issue to be fixed and the lights to be synced? When can we expect the issue to be fixed? Who is responsible for the follow-up? Who will update the residents when this is finally solved? How will this be communicated? Who is responsible for letting this happen for so many months? What measures are the cities taking to ensure these types of failures do not occur anymore?
Well, the good news is the problem was fixed last week. I hope it stays. There was an electrical connection problem at Mackle and Cavendish, and we asked Hydro-Quebec to make this change in the summer, but their crews experienced many delays this year, and they were only able to correct the problem last week. Since correcting the problem, the lights have been checked multiple times and follow the synchro timing, which was formulated by the city's consulting firm. Now, just to be clear, synchronization does not always mean that you will get green lights along Cavendish all the way through. The reason is because the programming must take into account all approaches, as well as pedestrian crossings. The goal is to reduce overall waiting time of all drivers at each intersection and not just in one direction. So hopefully it's going to be better. It's been repaired to based on the recommendation of our consultants, and should be much better. You'll tell us. Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. The question is from Lior Azerad. I would like to preface my question by saying that I will most probably have a follow-up question. I sincerely hope that the second question period remains open for the public. My question pertains to the lead pipe issue that has plagued Côte Saint-Luc for years and to date remains largely unaddressed. I would be interested to know why the previous councils had not taken steps to address an issue that they were clearly aware of. Had actions been taken years ago, we could have significantly underway to correct the lead pipe issue. And so my question is, when was the council first made aware of the issue and why no precautionary planning had taken place?
Well, I've been on council a long time. Acceptable limits way back when were 50, it went down to 25 to 10, and only last year when it was announced that the acceptable limit parts per billion of lead in water was going to be brought down from 10 to 5, did staff highlight the matter as something that we should be doing more on. We had been doing, and that was when the elected officials were informed that we should take more attention than what we had been doing, which was following all the guidelines and testing the 40 homes since we were told to do it. Our action plan is, the next question's a follow-up question to this one, so I'll respond to many more issues on this matter based on the next question. But our action plan obviously is a lot more detailed now. So I'll get the next question, then we'll continue the discussion of lead pipes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next question is from Marissa Seidel. I would assume that the city's position concerning the testing of the lead in the water of people's homes has been interrupted by the current pandemic. Elsewhere in Quebec, notwithstanding the pandemic, work in the construction industry resumed in mid-May. Why has the city not been able to organize entry into people's homes in a 7-month period to test for this potentially toxic substance in our water? Furthermore, has the city at least made any effort to recruit volunteer homes of residents who would be prepared to voluntarily allow people in to test for the lead? Why is the city not making this a priority? Thank you.
So in 2019, we updated our action plan on lead pipes. The first element was encouraging water filters for about 3,000 single-family homes and duplexes built before 1976. We created an incentive for people to buy these filters in the form of a $50 rebate for the purchase of water filters, like the ones in water pitchers or fridge filters. And we announced recently that starting in 2021, the city will provide a one-time rebate of up to $200 towards the purchase of installation of under-sink water filtration systems, such as the osmosis system. The $200 one-time rebate on an under-sink water filtration system is also offered for systems installed this year in 2020. We want people in the infected homes to benefit from water filters. We don't want anybody to be drinking lead in water, even until the time that we get to replacing our side of the pipes and theirs. We don't want money to be a reason why a home can't add filters. So please tell your friends and neighbors about the rebate, particularly the $200 rebate, which is pretty much a long-term solution for avoiding having lead in your water, and it goes right onto your system. You can read all about the rebate in the next Inside Out newsletter, which will be sent to homes next week, detailing the rebate and the way to get it. So that's the first element of the plan. which offers an immediate and relatively easy way to reduce or remove 99% of lead from drinking water. The second element of the plan is widespread water testing. In late 2019, we budgeted enough funds in 2020 for testing of approximately 3,200 homes that might have lead pipes. We went to tender and found suppliers to do the tests. The testing involves a technician entering the home to take a water sample. Then the pandemic began. And as everybody remembers, at the beginning of the pandemic, people were very concerned. So our contractor even told us that they could not do the job in 2020 due to the uncertainty about Quebec rules. So that's why we announced on May 7th that the testing of the 3,200 homes would be postponed until 2021. So phase 2 was unfortunately postponed, and now we had made a decision based on recommendations from our urban planning department to do half of the testing in 2021 and half in 2022. By the way, it also mentioned that we still needed to do, we have to do every year, and we managed to do the 40 tests that were required. And in order to do that, we did ask, exactly as the questioner suggests. We announced on social media that we were looking for homes willing to participate. And it wasn't that easy, but we did find 40 homes that were willing to allow us in to do the testing. The third element of the plan, and by far the most expensive and challenging, is replacing the pipes. To make matters more challenging, of course, there's two sides of the pipes. The one belongs to the city and the other belongs to the homeowner. The work needs to be coordinated so that both parts get done around the same time. Besides sidewalks and streets may need to be torn up to fix the city side. The replacement plan also needs to be coordinated with the replacement of sidewalks. So it's a complex file. We're going to do it, and we're going to do it right. In the meantime, there is no reason whatsoever for anybody to be drinking lead in water. Take advantage of our subsidy and ensure that you are not drinking any lead in your water. Those are the three parts of the plan. There's more information at côtesaintluc.org/leadpipes, including a video of the meeting we hosted in Côte Saint-Luc with Dr. David Kaiser of the Montreal Public Health Department. Dr. Kaiser answers a lot of questions, puts the risks in context, and provides some good advice. So are there any other questions?
Those are the questions for first question period.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to add something to that response with regard to lead pipes. So tonight on the agenda, item 11A, we're awarding a contract for over $500,000 for the testing to start in 2021. Mass testing that you spoke about before. So it's on item 11A on the agenda.
Thank you. Which, since it is on the agenda, and I know one of the questioners asked if they can ask more follow-up questions on the issue of lead pipes, you will be allowed to, because the second question period allows for any questions on the council agenda. So if you do have a question, please, Daryl, make sure, unlike the last meeting, that we receive the questions in the chat and that we have enough time to ensure that we could respond to anybody who wants to make a question in the second question period. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to add one other point, that the government also changed the protocols with regard to testing recently. So originally, a tester could go in the house and take a quick test, and basically it was in and out. Now it requires that the water sort of be sitting first or stagnant first before the test is done, which means it takes much longer. So either you have to catch that house first thing in the morning, which is not possible because you can't hit, one team can't hit 3,200 homes always first thing in the morning, but it means the water has to sit. So it requires them to be in a house for a longer period, which again was not advisable during the current COVID situation. Obviously, we hope that by the summer, things will be much better. Hopefully, many of our residents will have the vaccine by then, and the tests hopefully will go along smoothly this summer.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Okay, so now we move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a very important one, and it is a resolution in support of the resolution presented to the Montreal agglomeration concerning the strategic plan for the development of public transit
Mr. Mayor, I thought you were going to show the video first.
Just want to give them context of why
Oh, okay, sorry.
public transit. And we will be passing a resolution, but I'd like to give a little bit of background. So we're going to show a short video that explains what's been going on. To put in context, I went to you can do the video and then I'll chat before you, Dita. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Daryl. Thank you. I want to speak to you today about the Cavendish Extension project. I also have a message to the City of Montreal, who is leading this project. My message to Mayor Plante and to the Executive Committee Chair, Eric Caldwell, is to act now. We need to end the paralysis. We need to move forward on the common vision that all cities and boroughs in our area have reached a common consensus on. I am repeating today what I said to Eric Caldwell in October at the Agglomeration Council meeting, and which you will see after my remarks here. The request was also made by the Mayor of Saint Laurent, Alan de Souza, and the Mayor of Côte Saint-Luc, Sue Montgomery. Mr. Caldwell, please submit the project to the Environmental Public Hearings Office, the BAP, so we can get this done once and for all. We met in Côte Saint-Luc in 2018, and I had high hopes because you told us progress was underway. We visited the CP rail yards to get a first-hand look at the terrain and understand all the engineering challenges. In late 2019, we worked together to help convince CP of our preferred route. And last December, the administration of the City of Montreal announced that it would submit the project to the BAP in 2020.
Qu'est-ce que vous allez faire cette année sur Cavendish? Précisément.
Monsieur De Souza, c'est le SUM qui s'occupe de la planification des négociations actuellement pour Cavendish. Il y a des choses qui se travaillent, il y a des préconcepts qui sont en train d'être réalisés, il y a des discussions qu'on a avec le MTQ actuellement. Il va y avoir des audiences au BAP en 2020.
Ah, OK, ça c'est nouveau.
Oui.
But it's November 2020, and Montreal has still not submitted the project. The 4 mayors of the concerned cities and boroughs, myself, Mayor Roy of TMR, Mayor Montgomery of Côte-des-Neiges NDG, and Mayor de Souza of Saint Laurent are working together. We all agree on a road extension project that includes spaces for bikes, public transit, and eventually even a tramway. The 4 mayors held a press conference in February 2020 to announce a common position. We asked that Montreal create a committee of mayors to discuss all the issues surrounding the Namur de la Savane sector, which includes Cavendish. Last month, Mr. Caldwell presented a revised vision of the Cavendish Extension project, including an eventual tramway. The other mayors and I agree with this vision, but we do not want this to delay the presentation of the project to the BAP. Mayor Plante, Mr. Caldwell, the Cavendish Extension is the key to the future prosperity of the entire West End of Montreal. So much depends on it to happen. Without it, there can be no Hippodrome project, as clearly stated in the recent OCPM report. Opening Cavendish is the only way of achieving the vision it represents, with its social housing and viable community life. All other developments along Décarie depend on Cavendish as well. The Namur de la Savane area is the heart of the island and needs to be connected. This cannot be achieved without the Cavendish Extension, with bike paths and walkways and an eventual tramway. The paralysis is holding back investment in an area where developers are willing to invest. This paralysis frustrates the hundreds of thousands of travelers who pass through the Décarie interchange every day. We made them wait too long. It's time to act. Let's present the vision to the public and take it to consultations and the BAP as soon as possible. Okay, well, they didn't show the part afterwards where Manon, I'm at the Agglomeration Council and I'm speaking in French because that was just a translation of a question that I did at the Agglomeration Council, which was in French completely, obviously. Eric Caldwell answered the question. And we've been in discussions with Mr. Caldwell ever since that agglomeration meeting. And he's very aware of the fact that at the Agglomeration Council meeting of next Thursday, we will be presenting a resolution on behalf of the 4 mayors, de Souza, Roy, Montgomery, and myself, on behalf of our 4 cities and boroughs, on the strategic planning needs for transit for the ARTM to start considering. And we had meetings. Mr. Caldwell called me when we deposited our resolution for Montreal to consider supporting, because it has to be debated and supported by the Montreal Council. And it was today. And we met with Mr. Caldwell yesterday morning, Councillor Burko and myself on Zoom, to further discuss the wording of the resolution in order to get the support not only of the City of Montreal and Mayor Plante and Mr. Caldwell, but also of the other mayors that sit on that council, including Sue Montgomery and Philip Waugh, Sue Montgomery and Alan D'Souza, who are pushing for us because they're part of our group that realizes that we all have common needs. So I also want to thank our city manager, Tanya Abramovich, and Councillor Burko for preparing an excellent brief that was submitted to the ARTM today, which deals with all transit solutions. Because as I explained, the Cavendish extension is one part of transit solutions. But as you heard last week, there is a corridor vert that is passing right by Côte Saint-Luc, which is 27 kilometers of walking trails and bike paths. It goes right by the Côte Saint-Luc shopping center, where there has been proposals. We've been receiving proposals from all shopping malls for development projects, redevelopment projects, and the Côte Saint-Luc shopping center developers would like to help with a train station right there, where we could have a passageway to that platform, which would take us to Park Haven and allow people on their bicycles to also be on the corridor vert and get on and off that train, which goes all the way to St. Jerome. So I'm going to let Councillor Burko explain some of our ideas, but we're hoping for a tramway on Cavendish, a train station at Carey Square, a train station at the Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Center, and the Cavendish Extension, all connecting us to the metro and then to the REM, so that in a modern city, people can go anywhere without necessarily having to get in their cars, although those who need to can still have another access out of our city by car. So that being said, I'm going to pass it over now to Councillor Burko. And the resolution is going to be in French, so you'll get to hear it all in French in a minute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Merci. So I'm going to read a resolution, which is pretty much the same resolution as, very similar to the one that's being adopted tonight at the City Council of Montreal, which will be presented as well at the Agglomeration Council on Thursday, which is also being adopted tonight by the City Council of TMR, and which was adopted last week by the City Council of Saint Laurent. So we're doing a full press here of all the councils.
All coordinated by Councillor Burko. Let's be honest.
Right. We're doing a full press here of resolutions that we're sending to the ARTM, which is the Regional Transportation Agency, to impress upon them how to spend all the millions of dollars that they have in their billions of dollars practically in their budget over the next 10 years. So this transportation agency has called on the public to give their input on what are the needs for the next 10 years from 2021 to 2030. And so we have responded to that call. Here is the Côte Saint-Luc request for transportation solutions for Côte Saint-Luc and what we call the NDLS, the Namur de la Savane sector. So I think I'm going to read the whole thing. It's about 2 pages long. I'm going to try and do it quickly.
Tells a good story.
Considérant que le 27 octobre 2020, la RTM a lancé une grande consultation publique afin de finaliser son premier plan stratégique de développement du transport collectif 2021-2030. I think I'm just going to skim through I'm going to sort of not read every single word. Considérant que le secteur Namur de la Savane, qui inclut le secteur de Carey et le boulevard Cavendish à la ville de Côte-Saint-Luc, est l'un des 6 secteurs prioritaires de développement sur l'île de Montréal. Considérant qu'en mars 2019, dans la foulée de la consultation entourant le projet Royal Mount, Un groupe de travail présidé par la professeure Junka Adno a été créé par la mairesse Plante et la ministre déléguée au transport et ministre de la métropole de la région de Montréal, Chantal Rouleau, pour proposer des solutions qui permettraient d'améliorer les conditions de la circulation dans le grand secteur NDLS, Namur de la Savane. Everyone knows it's the Namur Metro, de la Savane Metro on one side, and then it's the rail yards on the other, Hippodrome in one corner, and Royal Mount project in the other. So it's a major sector of the city, which has parts of all four of the districts of Saint-Laurent, Côte Saint-Luc, and Royal and Théamar and Côte-des-Neiges-NDG. Considérant que le groupe de travail a conclu que l'état des lieux montre clairement qu'il faut en premier lieu désenclaver le secteur et renforcer vigoureusement l'offre de transport collectif. Considérant que la Ville de Montréal et les RTM ont participé directement à ce groupe de travail et ont contribué aux recommandations. Let me continue. Considérant que malgré ces recommandations qui ont été vigoureusement appuyées par toutes les parties prenantes, l'RTM n'a pas donné suite à la majorité des recommandations. The RTM is the Regional Transportation Authority. Considérant que le secteur NDLS ne figure pas dans le dans le plan stratégique de développement de la RTM sur la liste des projets structurants, considérant que le rapport de l'OCPM sur le projet quartier Namur Hippodrome daté du 17 septembre. This is a report that was put out just last September and which recommends transit first before anything else is built, either in the Hippodrome, either in the Royal Mount, either at the Degary Square or the Westbury, but Westbury is already practically built. But basically, the OCPM Commission said, do transit first before you build all these new homes, 21,000 new doors, which will invite about 48,000 residents. We need to have proper and modern transportation solutions. Considérant que suite à ces consultations, études et rapports, les maires des villes et arrondissements concernés par le projet Cavendish et sa connexité avec le NDLS ont demandé à la Ville de Montréal que toutes les études requises soient transmises à l'ARTM, considérant que la Ville de Côte Saint-Luc connaît présentement un important boom de réaménagement sur son territoire avec des projets potentiels à usage mixte sur 3 sites commerciaux, Carré des Carré, Centre commercial Côte Saint-Luc et quartier Cavendish. Chacun des 3 promoteurs de ces sites s'est engagé dans une démarche de développement durable axée sur le transport collectif. Considérant que le succès des projets de requalification du NDLS et de la Ville de Côte Saint-Luc repose en majeure partie sur la capacité de l'ARTM et des autorités publiques à poser des gestes structurants afin d'améliorer la connectivité du quartier, de favoriser l'utilisation du transport collectif et de limiter les effets de l'arrivée de nouveaux ménages sur des axes routiers fortement congestionnés. Considérant que le but de réaliser le plein potentiel des projets de quartier super urbain TOD, Transport Oriented Design, l'implantation d'une gare de train au centre commercial Côte Saint-Luc et une gare de train au Carré des Carrés est essentielle. La densification des secteurs et le développement des réseaux actifs autour et à destination des gares permettront en retour le développement de l'achalandage de la ligne Exo Saint-Jérôme et l'optimisation de son utilisation. The argument that we're all constantly given by the ARTM is that we don't have enough ridership, but we will have the ridership if they introduce the train stations and also if we redevelop both the Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Center and the Carré Square. So, considérant que des milliards de dollars d'investissements privés sont prévus dans le secteur NDLS et Côte Saint-Luc au cours des 10 à 15 prochaines années, you have to understand we're talking about the next 10 to 15 years. Il s'agit d'un moment historique pour la métropole de mettre en pratique la transition d'un secteur urbain autocentrique à un secteur mixed TOD. We're looking to move away from the auto-centric or sort of auto-solo environment to a more mixed environment where we would have other alternative transit solutions. Considérant que les autorités de transport souffrent d'un sous-financement, le redéveloppement du secteur NDLS offre une importante source de revenus fonciers qui pourra contribuer au financement des projets futurs. Basically, we're saying that the developers should contribute and should finance and should pay for part of these transport solutions because they can't just sort of increase the traffic in our roads without alleviating it by improving collective, active, and rapid transit. Considérant que l'ARTM est l'agence qui a la responsabilité et l'obligation d'adresser ces déficiences reliées au prolongement, il est raisonnable de s'attendre que le corridor Jean Talon-Namur Hippodrome de la Savane relié au prolongement Cavendish soit inscrit dans la liste des projets structurants du plan stratégique de développement de l'ARTM sur les 10 prochaines années. Considérant que la Ville de Côte Saint-Luc appuie la résolution concernant le plan stratégique qui sera à l'ordre du jour de l'agglomération du 17 décembre, so we support the resolution that's going to be on the agenda next Thursday, il est résolu d'appuyer la résolution concernant le plan stratégique de l'ARTM qui est à l'ordre du jour du conseil d'agglomération du 17 décembre 2020, de demander au conseil municipal de la Ville de Montréal d'appuyer la résolution concernant le plan stratégique de l'ARTM qui est à l'ordre du jour du conseil d'agglomération du 17 décembre 2020, de demander à l'agglomération de la Ville de Montréal de donner suite aux recommandations des rapports du groupe de travail Namur de la Savane et du rapport de l'OCPM sur le quartier Namur Hippodrome visant à faire inclure le secteur NDLS dans les chantiers de grands projets de transport collectif de l'ARTM, d'appuyer toutes les recommandations de son mémoire déposées avec l'ARTM dans le cadre de la consultation sur le PSD et plus particulièrement. So we support all the recommendations that we submitted today to the ARTM, and we just listed 4 of them here, but we have 8 recommendations, which I can read you after in English if you're interested. De demander à l'ARTM d'inclure le secteur NDLS élargi sur la liste de projets structurants de transport collectif dans son plan stratégique 2021-2030 afin de mettre en place un plan de transport collectif interconnecté répondant aux besoins des résidents, employés et usagers présents et futurs du secteur. So basically, we want to be on the list of major projects that the ARTM is going to invest in over the next 10 years. De demander à l'ARTM d'ajouter 2 gares de train, to add 2 train stations, one at the DeCarry Square and one at the Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Center. De demander à l'ARTM de procéder à l'étude en priorité dès 2021 du projet structurant de transport collectif électrique. That's the code word. It's called transport collectif électrique, basically tramway, sur l'axe du boulevard Jean Talon à travers le secteur Namur de la Savane et le prolongement du boulevard Cavendish nord vers le pôle économique Caudieliès, towards the north, and towards Turcotte-Lachine in the south. So basically, we're going to want to have an interconnected electric system, transport system on that extension. De demander à l'ARTM de valoriser les besoins de transport de la population vieillissante et les intégrer dans la stratégie. This is a very interesting recommendation. We think that the ARTM is not taking into account the needs of aging population, and we want them to use Côte Saint-Luc as a living lab to basically train and prepare our residents in all the newest and latest technologies that are available for transportation. And there are many that are being promoted and are out there, and we want to be able to promote them in our city and throughout the agglomeration. De demander à l'ARTM d'introduire et mettre en œuvre des règles, des lignes directrices et des programmes pour inciter les promoteurs à fournir et financer des solutions de transport le long des principaux corridors de transport. So basically, again, we're saying here to ask the ARTM to put in rules and regulations to encourage and even oblige developers to pay for transit solutions that are going to service their needs. And that's the last conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Burku. Would you like to explain it anymore?
I think I've explained it a lot. I think I've explained it enough. I just want to say in support of maybe we get a seconder, and then I just want to explain something else. So
Councillor Berkou's, seconded by Councillor Sabag.
right.
Any discussion?
So I just wanted to add the following. You know, the Royal Mount project, which is really going full steam ahead. If any of you have been following it on Facebook, they are projecting that they could be adding anywhere from 15 to 20,000 cars per day on the Décarie corridor. There is the Triangle project, there's the Westbury project, there's the Décarie Square project, there's the Hippodrome project. I mean, all these projects, as I just mentioned, are going to add about 21,000 new units to the area, which could bring in about 40,000 residents at least. And so we feel that really before all this is realized, before it's built, we need to have transit solutions that are going to make it possible to move around more easily and more conveniently. And the final thought is, if we could take a fast tramway or electric bus or anything electric, because we want to go, you know, carbon neutral, from the Cavendish Mall to the Namur Metro Station in 5 minutes, under 5 minutes. That's what we're projecting, that it would, because it's about 1 point something kilometers, under 2 kilometers. We think that that would be something that would be absolutely amazing and would help certainly to alleviate many of the traffic problems that we have in our own city.
Right. So we're moving into a different time, and it's not only about the Cavendish extension. We can see what's happening on the Décarie corridor, and we can see what's happening right here in Côte Saint-Luc. Côte Saint-Luc's a very desirable community to live in, and we're receiving preliminary proposals from all the shopping malls for more residential. They want more residential because they know people want to live in our city, and they're all willing to participate in transport. They know if their residential projects are going to succeed, they need transit. They need to be able to walk out of their apartment or condo and live in the 5-minute city where they can get all their needs served right downstairs at the commercial stores at the bottom, and get onto a train, onto a bike path, connect to the metro. These are not things that don't exist. We're just not able to use them. The train that you can get on in Montreal West goes right by Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Centre and Décarie Square. But you can't get on it. All you have to do is build a train station. So a question is making partnerships between developers and between the transit authority and getting it on the radar of the ARTM that this is what is needed in order to move into the future, which is people moving easily around the city. And now they see it, because it's not only about Côte Saint-Luc, it's about the Hippodrome, it's about Westbury, it's about Royal Mount, it's about connecting to the REM. It's not the old days about Cavendish Extension anymore. It's about moving people on the island from the west to the east, from the south to the north, and living in a modern Montreal island. So I think we're at the right time. We have the support of all the mayors from all the boroughs and all the cities that are affected, as well as from the city of Montreal. And I want to thank Councillor Berkou for all her work with Mr. Codwell and with the 4 mayors, and including myself, and our city manager Tanya Bramich for this absolutely beautiful brief that she worked on with city staff. They were all excellent. And I think it's not a vision anymore of one city. It's a vision of the entire island of Montreal. And it's going to happen. It is going to happen because it's needed. People say, when will the Cavendish extension happen? I can't give you a date on that, but I can tell you that all these transit solutions, which will include an eventual type of transit on a road from Cavendish, are going to happen. Train stations, tramways, connectivity to metros and REM. This is the only way that a city that's building can have the type of density that will be great for the city, for all the cities, including Côte Saint-Luc, because then you'll have better tax dollars to support transit, improve our infrastructure and our streets, and do a lot of the things that we want to do without raising taxes. That's how you do it. And this is the time that it's going to happen. And I want to thank Councillor Brickell once again for all her work on this project. The ARTM is going to listen. So I don't know if there's anything left for residents to do to assist, but if there is, or it's too late to submit requests by the residents, because I know the ARTM likes to listen to residents. Elected officials, well, they take our resolutions. They like hearing from the people.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to add that we're going to post our brief on our website. It's going to be available, and probably going to have a link there that shows all our different transportation briefs. It should be up within the week, and you know, I invite residents to read the briefs and the resolutions and everything else that's going to be posted.
Okay, is there any other discussion, or I'll call for the vote? Moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. And then we move to the next item, which is approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen. You're on mute, but moved by Councillor Cohen. You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm trying to be polite and be on mute. I so move, Mr. Mayor, that we approve the minutes from the regular meeting of November 9th, 2020 at 8 p.m. held at 8 p.m., as well as the minutes from the special meeting of November 23rd at 2020 at 5:50 p.m., please.
Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Erdely. All in favor? Or any discussion? All in favor. All in favor. Everybody's in favor. Okay. Approval of the minutes. Good job on drafting the minutes. Everybody approves. Any business arising from the minutes? Okay, now the departmental reports. Councillor Gajowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I so move the monthly departmental reports.
Seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri. Any discussion on the departmental reports? Councillor Cohen.
Mr. Mayor, before I do, I wanted to make a suggestion that's been 15 years in the making. And I think of it every time we have this part of the meeting, and then I say, I'm going to do it next month. Well, 15 years after being elected, I'm suggesting to Maitre Schechter that we rename this section monthly departmental and councillor reports, because this is the opportunity for councillors to give a short report every month to the public who are watching the meetings. They don't necessarily connect to the departmental reports, but yourself and your predecessor always allowed it. But is Maitre Schechter, can we do that? Can we have that as the title? Is that possible?
Yes, or what we can do is we can have two separate rubrics, one for the reports that are formally approved, and we can definitely have a rubric for councillor reports that don't necessarily have to be approved, but can be stated viva voce.
Verbals. Yeah, I mean, just verbals. I'm sure everyone would agree. I just would like to formalize it, but because, yeah, sometimes we do update people that are in these reports, but I think it's a nice opportunity over the years for us to give an update, especially now that the meetings are being webcast. Some are watching it live, some watch it on YouTube afterwards, and on the Facebook page. So thank you. So on that note, just want to note that on my podcast, which has been posted at mikecohen.ca, the latest version, it's also on my Facebook page and at Côte Saint-Luc Families. I did an interview with David Lisbona, who of course is an outstanding citizen in Côte Saint-Luc. There's nothing this guy doesn't do. I thought I had the most jobs in Côte Saint-Luc of one person, but David might be up there with me competing. I interviewed him and David Dakotas, who's a city councillor in Laval, also doing some really humanitarian gestures. So I urge people to listen. Councillor Torchman and I, speaking of another David, will be co-chairing an event on January 17th through the library. We're going to have Yael Shavit available at 1 o'clock on Sunday, January 17th, live from Israel. He was the former head of the Mossad, and he has written a thrilling book, which is available at our library. And Councillor Torchman and I are working on that, and we'll be announcing the details shortly, but people should mark it in their books right now. People are home. It's going to be nice and cold in January, so we're going to give them more reasons to look forward to something to watch. Just a quick note: the CATS committee. I want to thank Diane Liebling, Malka Labo, and Randy Cater, who co-chaired a raffle. We did our online concert this year, but it didn't really raise the kind of money that we need. And they went, the three of them put together a raffle, and they really did an outstanding job. They brought in enough funds to more or less equal what we did for the concert. I don't know if they could do that every year, but it was very, very successful. So congratulations to them as they continue to rescue homeless cats. Councillor Sabag and I were talking before the meeting, and he's noticed driving in his car, you know, a lot of the cats, homeless cats in the community. We were having a discussion about that. Yeah, they're still there. And thank goodness for the good people in Côte Saint-Luc who have been helping us out to catch these cats and find them new homes, the ones that we can. Two other notes. Thank goodness, ladies and gentlemen, that construction is finally over at the Equinox. 3.5 years of work, 3.5 years of headaches. It's over. They're just doing the final touches. They've returned the parking lot into a flattened land, and that will be returned to nice green space in the spring. And so everyone's very excited about that. And that should be the end of construction for a while, we hope, on that street. And I guess the last thing is Isidore Goldberg Park. I'm just getting a lot of very good comments from people about the fact that the sign and the entrance are now at Marc Chagall with a beautiful pathway. Thank you, Beatrice Newman, for the outstanding work you did and the creativity you showed in revitalizing that park. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Councillor Torchman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So again, as Councillor Cohen indicated, January 17th, 1 p.m., Shabtai Shavit will be speaking, and it promises to be a very interesting talk. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update as to other things that are going on at the library. There's a holiday creative club for kids and families. There's various workshops, both on health and mental health, and a tremendous amount of books that are available, as you all know. And there's a new shelter for you when you want to go pick up books at the library. So through the winter months, it's a warmer shelter to walk into. So please make your reservations on through the web at the Eleanor London Library, and get some good books for the summer reading, for the winter reading. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Torchman. Anybody else? Okay, Councillor Erdely next, and then Councillor Kajaski, and then Councillor Sabag, and then Councillor Benizri. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to share a few items. I'll start on the finance side. So the Treasurer and the Finance Department have been very busy preparing the budget for the 2021 year. So just a reminder to residents that next week, so next Monday, December 21st at 6 p.m., we'll be presenting the budget. And on Wednesday, December 23rd at 6:30 p.m., adopting the tax rates or the mill rates. So those will be done next week. I want to share also on the finance side, although linked to IT, is that the city did a successful transition from Google Gmail or G Suite to Office 365 over the last few weeks. This was done as a cost-cutting measure, and will save the city a tremendous amount of money, and hopefully will be easy to use for all the staff. And the last thing I wanted to mention, although I hope I'm not stealing it from Councillor Kajavsky, but I want to just share with regard to outdoor skating rinks, that the rink at Schwartz Park, of course, is returning. And this year there'll be 5 additional ones, including Fletcher Park, Guelph, the tennis courts at Guelph, Rembrandt, Singerman, and Trudeau Park, of course. So we're hoping, not that I want to wish for cold weather, but we're hoping for some cold weather to come in the next few days, which it seems to be from the forecast this week. So if all goes well, they'll be able to start pouring the water and getting that ice in place. So hopefully hopefully in a few weeks, depending on the weather, we'll be able to have people skating outdoors, which again is a good and safe way, of course, maintaining distancing, for residents to have fun during the winter vacation period and beyond. So, and sorry, I see a reminder from just a reminder message that the draft budget is actually posted. You can go to cotesaintluc.org/city-government/finance. So you can see the draft budget already if you want to have a preview. And again, next Monday, we'll be presenting it live on Zoom, YouTube, and look forward to that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Councillor Kajowski.
How dare you steal my thunder, Councillor Erdely? I'll forgive him.
I
Yes,
apologize.
oh, that's all good, Stephen. We're all very pleased about the outdoor skating, and I don't know if you saw that email chain or an email circulated from Public Works that they've looked at the long-term forecast, and it looks like they're going to start getting that going potentially next week. So we do pray for cold weather. It's winter. We're used to it. Let's get outside and stay outside as much as possible for the winter. From a Parks and Recreation perspective, there's also don't forget the pool is available for lap swim and for recreational swim, obviously by reservation, and spots are limited. We're working on fine-tuning that system so that everyone who wants to make use of those facilities has a turn to use them. And the same for indoor skating right now at the Samuel Moscovich Arena. It's also by reservation, so 3 days ahead of time, you'll be able to go online or make a phone call and make those reservations. So again, we're fine-tuning those systems. We want everybody to have a turn with the limited resources we have right now in the recreation department. And the annex is nearly ready to go as well. I'm told the ice is approximately 2 inches thick right now, so they're building it up, and the annex should be ready to open really any day. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kajowski. Councillor Sabag.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I think this is the last public council meeting this year, and I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about, sorry, you're right, Dita, there's other ones that's coming up, sorry. But there is some good news on the horizon. We talked about the vaccine, and with the vaccine, I want to talk a little bit about the plans to kind of re-engage some of the programs that we have in public safety, including VCOPs. So lots of reports have been coming out. I think a couple of articles as well in terms of VCOPs. And the reality is we're taking every precautions to make sure that our VCOPs are safe. We've also listened to them. Not only, I think it was over a year ago, we did a brainstorming session with them, but at the end we are looking at a comprehensive program that's going to make the VCOPs come back in a very safe manner. So there's online training already being deployed, and hopefully as we progress into a vaccination period, we'll see them hit the ground running sooner than later. We're listening to what they have to say, and we're again making sure that we're able to keep them safe at all times. So that's on the VCOP side. EMS continues to do what they do best. Again, keeping in mind that we save lives every day, and follow the guidelines that come up from public health, and that's pretty much it on the public safety side. I want to wish everybody again a happy Hanukkah to everybody, to my friends, family, and to keep the spirits high as we get into 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sabag. And I just want to add, in terms of the VCOPs, our priority throughout the pandemic was to keep them safe. The vast majority of them are seniors, over 60, over 70. And the light is there at the end of the tunnel. As soon as they're vaccinated, they can still be carriers. They'll have to wear masks and physically distance and do all the things that we do, but they'll be protected. And I'm looking forward, as we know the protocol is going to go by age. So our VCOPs, for the most part, will get vaccinated before many other members of our population. So once they're vaccinated, they have their 2 doses. I look forward to seeing their active participation once again, because they improve not only the safety of our streets, but also bring happiness to the residents when we see their cars driving by and them walking on our streets. So looking forward to that day very, very soon. And now we move on to Councillor Ben Isri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. J'aimerais féliciter le département des travaux publics pour l'installation des lumières autour des lampadaires. Je peux vous dire que ça fait chaud au cœur et ça met vraiment de l'ambiance dans notre ville. Alors, merci à sa directrice, Béatrice Newman, et à toute l'équipe des travaux publics. And I want to take this opportunity to wish all the residents of Côte Saint-Luc health, happiness, and peace during this holiday season and through the coming year. May the lights of the season shine brightly in your home. Alors, passez de bonnes fêtes et joyeux Hanouka à tous nos résidents. Alors, merci.
Merci, le conseiller Benizri. On that note, I don't know if the residents of Côte Saint-Luc have seen it tonight, but we, despite COVID, we worked with Chabad. They are determined and they wanted to bring light and happiness to our city, and they had a parade going through our streets. We lit the menorah in front of City Hall. It was we were only allowed to not have a gathering, so I lit it myself with one assistant there from Chabad, and Rabbi Raskin was terrific. And they had all the cars looking at a screen so they could watch what was going on from their cars, and then they drove around our city, bringing light to the lives of so many. And like so many of our religious institutions and other community organizations and individuals like David Lisbona, you know, Chabad has done a wonderful job throughout the pandemic, not only in ensuring people are fed, but also that their emotional needs are met, that they're connected, that they have activities to do, and they're partners. All these organizations are partners with the city of Côte Saint-Luc, and we thank them. So happy Hanukkah to all those who celebrate, and we will be having 2 more meetings next week, and we'll be wishing you a Merry Christmas very soon. Okay, any other comments? All right, so moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and we move on to the financial services. Councillor Erdely, number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that bylaw 2554-1, amending bylaw 2554, entitled bylaw 2554, instituting a water filter rebate program in order to amend the amounts of the rebate provided by the program, be and is hereby adopted.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion?
So if I may, just to give a bit of background. So this is to make an adjustment to the rebate program for filters, for water filters. So originally we had filters that were NS53, which are the type you'd see in a pitcher, such as certain Brita filters. It could be a faucet mount or countertop filter, or some that are mounted in the refrigerator. So these were eligible for a $50 rebate. Additionally, now there's also a $200 rebate for an NS58, which is for reverse osmosis filter. These are the larger types that you often will see underneath the sink. And just to give a bit of background, normally osmosis is movement of a solvent, usually water, from an area of high concentration or low concentration. Reverse osmosis is the opposite. It's actually applying pressure to the water to move it from an area of low concentration to high. And what this is doing is moving the water through a semi-permeable membrane and basically cutting out the lead, or pushing the lead out to make the water clean and pure, so that it's so residents are able to drink it. So again, you'll be eligible for either a $50 rebate, which is what we've already had, or a $200 rebate. And there'll be more information about this on the city website for those who are interested. And I believe actually we're up to, just as an aside, I think we're up to 173 so far this year in terms of people who have already applied for the rebate. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent summary. Thank you. We're lucky to have you on council. We have a professor and principal, which makes sure we understand everything. So that's great. Any other discussion on that? So it's moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to 6B. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of November 1st, 2020 to November 30th, 2020 for a total amount of $4,354,833.29 in Canadian funds. And that Treasurer Certificate number 20-0109 dated December 7th, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Burku. Any discussion? Anything to highlight or discuss?
Yeah, so just to highlight a few of the larger items. So one of the large items I'm happy to mention is about tree planting. As you know, in the past, the city has had to cut down quite a few trees because of the emerald ash borer, so we are working to try to catch up. There's also an additional allocation for the City Hall envelope, which is coming along and hopefully will be done soon. It's our last phase of the 3 phases on the City Hall envelope. And the final one is with regard to CMO, which is the company that services our water pipes. So including the basic fees and some replacement of lead pipes, which again, we had talked about earlier. And that's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Great, carried unanimously. We move to Human Resources, item number 7A. Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the promotion of Eden Berger to the position of Manager of Administration and Online Services, a permanent management position effective retroactive to February 24th, 2020. That Treasurer Certificate number 20-0113 dated December 3rd, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri. Any discussion?
Well, this is the promotion of Eden Berger, who is a gem in Parks and Recreation, and we're very, very happy to have her. And she'll hopefully she'll be with us for a very long time.
So moved and seconded. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried unanimously. Congratulations, Eden. Yeah, she is a gem. Item 7B, Councillor Kajavsky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the promotion of Marion Sullivan to the position of Coordinator of Promotions and Engagement, a permanent management position effective December 19th, 2020. That Treasurer Certificate number 20-0114 dated December 4th, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Kajavsky, seconded by Councillor Ben-Isri. Any discussion?
Again, another promotion. This is for Marion Sullivan, who many of you know from day camp. She was one of the ones running our programs throughout this COVID summer, and she did an excellent job in doing so. And we're very, very pleased to have her. Congratulations to her.
Thank you. So moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we go to 7C. Councillor Ben-Isri. You're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the promotion of Thierry Maxwell to the superior function of driver of motorized vehicles C, according to Article 3.03 of the Blue Collar Collective Agreement effective November 25th, 2020. That Treasurer's Certificate number 20-0111 dated December 3, 2020 has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Ben-Isri, seconded by Councillor Torjman. Any discussion?
It's a promotion.
Very good. So all in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to item number D. Councillor Torjman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the title change of permanent manager employee Marian Zalzal from project manager to senior project manager effective December 7th, 2020.
Moved by Councillor Torjman, seconded by Councillor, who wants to second it? Councillor Coe. Okay. Any discussion?
Just a promotion entitled to a longtime employee who's doing a great job within the engineering department.
Thank you, Councillor Torjman. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to item number 7E. Councillor Ben-Isri.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be resolved, that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council ratifies the hiring of Christopher Pigeon as an arboricultural technician, white collar permanent position, effective November 25th, 2020. That treasurer's certificate number 20-0112, dated December 3rd, 2020, has been issued by the city treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Ben-Isri, seconded by Councillor Burku. Okay. Any discussion? This is about trees. The tree guys. Okay, so anyway.
We love trees.
I met Chris. I met Mr. Pigeon and or Pigeon. I'm not sure how it's pronounced his name, but he seems like an experienced young gentleman who's going to do a great job with our agricultural work that's going to be done in the city and public works. So welcome. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to legal services. 8A, Councillor Kajowski. You're giving up your job.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I am indeed. I am sad. Hold on.
So
I continue to be acting mayor until the end of the month. Don't forget, Oren.
Right.
Be it resolved that Councillor Oren Seabag is and shall be named maire suppléant of the city of Côte Saint-Luc, effective January 1st, 2021, up to and until March 31st, 2021, inclusively. And further, that the aforementioned Councillor Seabag shall have and may exercise the powers of the mayor when the said mayor is absent or unable to perform the duties of his office.
So that's moved by Councillor Kajowski, seconded by Councillor Erdely, and I will explain people once again what that means. It's under the City and Towns Act. There always has to be a acting mayor available for any moment in time when the mayor may not be available for any unforeseen reason. And that's why every 3 months in our city, we switch that person based on the alphabetical order of their name. So moved and seconded, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Congratulations, Councillor Seabag. You'll be the pro mayor when I walk out of the room. I'll try not to do too much. Okay, so now we move on to items for Maitre Schechter. There are 2 filings.
Correct. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to actually table 2 corrections with your permission. The first correction is item 8B, and it pertains to certain resolutions related to our loan bylaws and the bonds. So the first paragraph of the resolution, the loan bylaw number 2359, shall be replaced with loan bylaw number 2523. And so that correction has been tabled. And then the other correction relates to bylaw 2345-1, governing the demolition of buildings. Article 3 had a specific word. It was an obvious error in which the calculation of the walls includes the openings, foundation, roof, as well as supporting and common walls. So the calculation of the walls includes the openings, but not the foundations, the roof, as well as the supporting of the common walls. And there were several documents in support of this correction that were filed. So both corrections have now been formally filed and form part of the minutes.
Thank you, Maitre Schechter. Now we move on to item 8D. Councillor Burku.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just gonna enlarge it a little bit. Les membres du conseil suivants ont déposé ces déclarations d'intérêt pécuniaire à la séance de ce soir. Mitchell Brownstein, Sidney Ben-Isri, Mike Cohn, Stephen Erdely, Mitch Kajowski, Oren Seabag et David Torchman. Attendu que conformément aux dispositions de la loi sur les élections et les référendums dans les municipalités, chaque membre du conseil doit faire par écrit déclaration de ses intérêts financiers dans les 60 jours de son élection. Il est résolu que le conseil de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc déclare officiellement avoir reçu une telle déclaration d'intérêt pécuniaire de la part du maire Brownstein, des conseillers Sidney Benizri, Mike Cohn, Stephen Early, Mitch Kujawski, Oren Sebag et David Torchman, et ordonne au greffier de la ville de déposer les dites déclarations aux archives de la ville et d'envoyer le relevé des élus qui ont déposé leur déclaration au ministère des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation.
Thank you, Councillor Berku, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion? Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? It's carried unanimously. And now we go to E, Councillor Berku.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a seconder to the?
Councillor Erdely,
Oh, okay, I didn't.
passed unanimously. And now we'll
Right,
go.
okay. So this is related to a street closing. Let me just get the resolution. Okay. Whereas lot number 1561563 of the Cadastre of Quebec Registration Division of Montreal, located at 5732 Avenue Kellert, was formerly known as a parcel of lot 88-328 of the Cadastre of the Municipality of the Parish of Montreal, whereas said lot was part of the public domain of the City of Côte Saint-Luc, being former section of King Edward Street. The whole is delineated in a notice registered in the Land Register of Quebec under number 1850894, whereas the city disposed of the said lot on September 22nd, 1967, by virtue of a notarial deed of exchange registered in the Land Register of Quebec under number 2016589, be it resolved that the former section of Rue King Edward, now known as lot number 1561563 of the Cadastre of Quebec, being the lot located at 5732 Avenue Kellert, be hereby permanently closed as a street and removed from the public domain.
Moved by Councillor Berku, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
I guess this was just a lost lot, and we corrected the error.
Correct. Subsequent to a notarial transaction, this was
Okay.
by the notary in a title search, and we have now corrected title.
Excellent. Thank you.
So moved
Thank
and
you.
seconded. All in favor? Okay, Councillor Cohen? You're in favor, Councillor Cohen? Okay, thank you. Carried unanimously, and now we move to public safety. Councillor Sabat.
Hang on, Mr. Mayor. I believe we had one more tabling of a register.
Oh, there's a tabling for you to do. Go ahead.
Correct. So pursuant to bylaw 2496, readopting bylaws 2424 and 2424-1, adopting a code of ethics and good conduct for the elected municipal officers of the city of Côte Saint-Luc. I'm hereby tabling a register, as I am obliged to do on an annual basis at the regular council meeting in December. No one has signed this register amongst the elected officials, and it relates to donations exceeding a certain amount.
Thank you. Thank you for the tabling, Maitre Schechter. And now we move to public safety. Councillor Sabat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'd like to give notice of motion of bylaw 2470-1 to be entitled bylaw 2470-1, amending bylaw 2470 entitled bylaw to regulate nuisance in order to prohibit the use of electric mopeds in parks and to prohibit circulation in a manner that compromises the safety of others in other park users. And I'd like to also table this particular bylaw with your permission, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sabat.
So just a couple of words on this one real quick. So these mopeds that you see going around a little bit in Saint Luc are very fast and very dangerous. We see a lot of kids with them not wearing helmets. And this summer, and hopefully with things kind of opening up and COVID hopefully behind us, people are going to be in parks, and these mopeds are extremely dangerous. I want to also commend Councillor Cohen for this idea. I think it's a smart one, and it's a one that's very needed. Again, these are mopeds. They are you don't need a license plate. They're not plated, but they're very, very fast.
Thank you, Councillor Sabag. So that is tabled and the notice of motion received. Thank you. Now we move on to item number 10, Public Works. Councillor Benizri, 10A. Awarding of our janitorial services. We love them very much. They're very good people, hard workers. And I'm looking forward to getting
Alors,
back.
merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le Conseil octroie par la présente un contrat d'1 an pour des services de conciergerie à Axia pour la période entre le 1er janvier 2021 et le 31 décembre 2021 pour un montant maximal de 271 836 $ et 97 cents, plus les taxes applicables selon les mêmes modalités que celles de l'appel d'offres C-18-14. Un certificat du trésorier sera émis en janvier 2021 pour attester de la disponibilité des fonds nécessaires pour couvrir les dépenses décrites ci-dessus. Que la conseillère générale de la ville soit par les présents autorisée à signer la lettre d'entente entre les parties établissant les modalités du contrat.
C'est proposé par le conseiller Benizri et appuyé par le conseiller Kajavski. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Okay.
Pour le service, comme on l'a dit, de conciergerie à la ville.
Merci. Okay, so moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we move to item 10B. Councillor Benizri.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Sorry, I'm just finding my... OK. Voilà. Alors, est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, conseil, par la présente, décide de ne pas excéder les 2 années optionnelles des contrats octroyés à NG Service Incorporé par la résolution numéro 17-11-28 et par conséquent, ces 2 contrats sont résiliés. Que le conseil octroie 2 contrats d'entretien préventif des systèmes de CVC à Colostat Incorporé comme suit. Un contrat tout compris pour l'entretien préventif du CVC pour le bâtiment du centre communautaire et aquatique pour la période débutant le 1er janvier 2021 et se terminant le 31 décembre 2021 pour un montant de 46 774 $ et 34 cents, plus les taxes applicables. Un contrat régulier pour l'entretien préventif du CVC pour 9 bâtiments municipaux, soit gymnase, caserne de pompiers, travaux publics, loisirs et parcs, chalet numéro 1 et numéro 3 du parc Pierre-Éliott Trudeau, le chalet au parc Rembrandt et les 3 stations de pompage de la ville pour la période débutant le 1er janvier 2021 et se terminant le 31 décembre 2021 pour un montant de 15 751 $, plus les taxes applicables. Que des certificats du trésorier seront émis par le trésorier de la ville en janvier 2021 pour attester la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses.
Proposé par le conseiller Benizri, appuyé par le conseiller Kajavski. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Tout le monde en faveur? All in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to item number 10C. Councillor Benizri.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, par la présente, octroie un contrat pour l'achat d'une roulotte mobile à Williams Scotsman of Canada Incorporé pour la somme de 79 060 $, plus les taxes applicables. Que le financement de cette dépense soit effectué par un prêt sans intérêt du fonds de roulement de la ville. Que la ville s'engage à fournir chaque année, à même ses fonds généraux, une somme suffisante pour rembourser l'emprunt au fonds de roulement. Que la période du remboursement n'excède pas 5 ans. Qu'un certificat du trésorier sera émis en janvier 2021 par le trésorier de la ville pour attester la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Proposé par le conseiller Benizri, appuyé par le conseiller Kajavski. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
C'est pour une roulotte qui va être annexée au bureau des travaux publics, à la bâtisse des travaux publics.
OK. Tout le monde en faveur? Conseiller Torgman, vous êtes en faveur? Oui? OK. Tout le monde en faveur. OK. Passed unanimously. And now we move to item 10D. Councillor Benizri.
Oui, merci, Monsieur le maire. Permettez-moi juste de trouver l'information.
Pour les fleurs annuelles.
Ouais, voilà. Je ne me trompe pas là. Je pense que j'y suis. Non, je m'excuse, je suis là dans le prochain document. Je m'excuse. Qui arrive. Ah, et voilà. Alors, est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, par la présente, octroie un contrat pour l'achat de fleurs annuelles pour l'année 2021 à des jardins WG Charlebois incorporés pour une somme n'excédant pas 36 964 $ et 24 cents plus les taxes applicables, qu'un certificat du trésorier sera émis en début de l'année 2021 pour attester la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Proposé pour le conseiller Benizri, appuyé par le conseiller Kajaski. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
On se prépare déjà pour l'année 2021 pour fleurir la ville de Côte Saint-Luc.
Tout le monde en faveur? Conseiller Sebag, vous êtes en faveur aussi? Oh oui, OK. OK. Passed unanimously. And now we go to E, which is awarding of a contract for repaving McDowell Park. Councilor Benizri.
Voilà. Juste retrouve mon document, monsieur le maire. Le voici. Presque. Et
So this is McDowell Park, which is between Borden and Randall. It's the park that I played at as a kid. My mom still lives across the street. And now the pathway will be repaired.
Et voilà. Alors, merci, monsieur le maire. Et est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc, par la présente, octroie un contrat pour le repavage de l'allée du parc McDowell à Catalonia Construction pour la somme de 37 000 $ plus les taxes applicables, que les dépenses décrites ci-dessus seront financées par le règlement d'emprunt 2543, que le certificat du trésorier numéro 20-0115 a été émis le 3 décembre 2020 par le trésorier de la ville attestant la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Proposé par le conseiller Benizri et appuyé par le conseiller Burku. C'est dans le district de conseiller Burku. Fantastique. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Sinon, à la vote, tout le monde en faveur. Passé unanimement. Okay, now we move on to urban development engineering, awarding a contract for the lead copper water sampling. Councillor Torchman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract for the lead and copper water sampling to the sole conforming bidder, CMO Management, Inc., pursuant to tender number C-02-20C in the amount of $568,325 plus applicable taxes. That the described expenses shall be financed from the city's water financial reserve, that the treasurer certificate will be issued by the city treasurer at the beginning of 2021 and 2022 years, respectively, to attest to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Thank you, Councillor Torchman. Seconded by, who did I have? Seconded by Councillor Erdely. Fine. Any discussion?
Yeah, so this is strictly for the water testing. The guidelines that have changed only allow the testing to be done between the months of July and September. It's a temperature issue, and again, as described earlier, the testing is a bit of a longer test. The 2 years of testing will test about 3,000 to 3,000 200 homes throughout the city. So about 1,500 homes per year is the anticipated rate at which we can do the testing.
Thank you, Councillor Torchman, seconded by Councillor Erdely. We did that. So, okay, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Very good. Now we move to the next item, which is 11B. Councillor Torchman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the city commits to respect the modalities of the guide which applies to it, that the city commits to be solely responsible and to discharge Canada and Quebec, as well as their ministers, senior officials, employees, and representatives of all responsibilities concerning claims, requirements, losses, damages, and costs of all kinds, having as a foundation a wound inflicted on a person, the death of the latter, damages caused by material possessions, or the loss thereof attributable to a deliberate or negligent act, ensuing direct or indirectly from the investment financed from the grant obtained within the framework of the TEC 2019 to 2023 program. The city approves the content of and authorizes the forwarding to the Ministère des Affaires Municipales et de l'Habitation of the work schedule attached to this resolution as Annex A and all other documents required by the Ministère in order to receive the government contribution, which has confirmed in a letter from the Ministère des Affaires Municipales et de l'Habitation, that the city commits to a minimum threshold of fixed assets in a municipal infrastructure set at $75 per inhabitant per year for a total of $375 per inhabitant for the entire 5-year period of the program. That the city commits to inform the Ministère des Affaires Municipales et de l'Habitation any modification made to the work schedule approved herein and by this resolution. That the city confirms by the present resolution that the final programming of the work schedule attached reflecting the true cost regarding the estimates of expenditures of admissible projects to December 31, 2023, that the city's general counsel or city treasurer are both authorized to sign any documents giving effect to said resolution.
Moved by Councillor Torchman, seconded by Councillor Sebag. Fine. Any discussion?
So this is a mouthful, but it's for the approval of, for the application of a tech grants, which will supply a significant amount of funds to the city for very specific infrastructure projects. Road reconstruction is the major element where these monies will be invested in over the next years.
Thank you, Councillor Torchman. Councillor Burkum, did you have something else? You're on mute. Councillor Burkum, go ahead. Yes. Yes, it's your turn.
Okay, so I'm looking at this list of road reconstruction on page 407. And I'm looking at the year 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. I'm looking at the districts in which these roads are being redone. And in all the years that I've been councillor, I've, never sort of encountered a situation where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of road reconstruction, and the only strip that is being reconstructed in District 3 is Fleet, which is a major road. You can't say it's in the district. It's a major road, Fleet, between Cavendish and Pinedale. So that strip, that's fine. That's going to be redone in 2023. And I'm not going to vote against it. I'll vote for it, but I want to record and register my disappointment at the fact that I feel there is not a equitable distribution, nor is there a attention given to one street in particular in my district that I feel requires attention, because there is nothing on this list from 1, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, which is being redone in District 3, nor is the street that I mentioned before, which you are all aware of, even given any attention, and now I was told that it's going to 2029. So I'm very disappointed with the way we are managing this list. And I don't say it's engineering, and I don't think it's engineering. I think it's the way the council has decided to just not manage it in a way that is fair and equitable. And I want to register my opinion in this regard.
Councillor Erdely and then Councillor Torchman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, actually, I just want to maybe, before we get into the specific streets, just maybe to clarify for residents that are watching how the tech grant works, just to give a bit of insight on the financial side. The way the tech grant works is the city has to spend a certain amount of money and we get a certain amount of money. So in this case, the city has to spend about $12 million and we get an additional $12 million from the provincial government. So, or I should say from the provincial / federal, because the tech is coming from both levels of government through the gas tax. So in other words, if the city spends $24 million over a certain number of years, over these, let's say this 4-year period, we get half of that back from the provincial government and federal government. Now, with regard to the streets, you know, as I shared before with some of the councillors before we came onto the Zoom, you know, my feeling is we have to adopt a plan, because if we don't adopt a plan, it prevents us from getting any funding from the provincial and federal government. So it prevents us from getting any funds. So I believe we do have to adopt the plan. What I have said and what I believe is, for now, you know, the plan should go forward as for the first few years, but I think we have to revisit it pending the previous item which we talked about, which was the lead testing. My personal belief is once we get more of the results from lead testing and we see, we possibly will see patterns. In other words, we may see that certain streets show very high levels of lead. You know, it's a possibility. We hope not. You know, my feeling is always to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So my feeling on this point is we need to start doing those tests, which hopefully will begin this summer and finish next year. Once those tests are done, we'll be able to do a full analysis and find points in the city where the lead levels are high. And my belief would be to redo those roads. And basically, while those roads are being redone, are to do all the work on the pipes, because it'll be much cheaper that way. So my belief is for the, let's say, 21, 22 years to obviously go with this plan, with the caveat that based on the results of the lead testing, we may have to revisit. And my understanding is it's not the most complicated, but not the simplest process to change those streets at a later point. So like I said, you know, for tonight, I will be voting in favor of this resolution because I don't want to stop and prevent the city from possibly getting, again, approximately $12 million. But I would say I agree with Councillor Burku in that I think we need to revisit the streets. And on a personal note, I think there's only 1 or 2 streets in District 4 as well. So I understand her point on that. But like I said, I think that's something we'll have to revisit once we get more information on the lead testing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Councillor Torchman.
Well, I appreciate that some councillors are looking at their districts as the area of interest. We have to look at the city as a whole. And to Councillor Burku's point, it absolutely isn't engineering's fault. They work based on data, and they're looking at which streets are the worst. And there are unfortunately many in Côte Saint-Luc that are much worse than other streets. The source of the issue, and you nailed it on the head when you said the council, previous councils have not invested in infrastructure, and that's the major part of the issue. The city just hasn't been investing properly in our infrastructure. We're doing a good amount this coming year, but we should have done better in the last 15 years to catch up to where we need to be. So that's the source of the issue. And so we can't pick and choose based on district. We have to do what's good holistically for the whole city based on data.
Okay, so more comments?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, on a point of personal privilege, just to clarify though, the city has invested, I have to disagree with Councillor Torchman's point. The city has invested heavily actually in infrastructure. Where I might say is we didn't spend as much on road repaving. We spent significant amount on infrastructure in general. Let's say if we talk about pipe or water main sleeving, we have spent probably and done more sleeving than virtually any other city on the island, possibly even the province of Quebec. So I would say our focus has been on the pipes or on the water mains and the sewer main and the sewers as well in terms of sleeving. I believe it makes more sense to do the pipes first and then the roads after. Often we'll see Montreal do the opposite. But I would agree with Councillor Torchman that more should be spent on the roads, but I wouldn't necessarily say that we haven't spent as much on infrastructure. Thank you.
It's early, but we're not going to go back and forth with the debate, but you can have your another comment, Councillor Torchman.
Just a point of clarification. We've been spending under $800,000 a year on roads and sidewalks for the last 15 years. And that's my point is on it. When I talk about infrastructure, you're absolutely right. We need to do the foundations before we do the road, but we need to invest more on our infrastructure as a whole. And that's my point.
So I'll have the last comments on all that. Picking which roads, I love all the residents of Côte Saint-Luc equally. I think you're all terrific. This process should not be political at all. It has to be based on need. There has to be a process, and we take recommendations from staff. So making it political is not the way to go. In terms of spending money on infrastructure, we've always managed our money economically. Very pleased to announce that we have a balanced budget projected for next year with a zero tax increase for the average single family home. And that's the way we manage our money. What we do need in the city and what developers want us to have is redevelopment. Redevelopment that will bring in a lot more tax dollars and enable us to be in a situation to do more. And we will be able to do more if we move forward in the way in which not only developers, but residents from outside our city want to move to Côte Saint-Luc by providing them the housing that they want in the 3 malls. And we will be presenting ideas where we could bring up the tax base in the city to improve our infrastructure without raising taxes. So that will bring us in transit, as we discussed earlier in the meeting, and it will also bring in more tax dollars so we can improve our infrastructure. But yes, all streets are important and every resident is important no matter where they live. And I agree with Councillor Italy. We'll work on the pipes, then we'll get to the streets and we will do the testing of the lead, and that will also influence the manner in which we have to, in some instances, repair sidewalks and streets in priority in line with the pipe replacement plan. So all that being said, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? It is carried unanimously, and we move on to item number 12, which is Councillor Burke. 12A, an encroachment agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the City of Côte Saint-Luc Council hereby accepts the second encroachment agreement with the owners and ratifies the City General Council signature of the encroachment agreement for the property located at 5551 Cavendish Boulevard, property of David Scheinart and Mrs. Giuseppina Longabardi, and that the city's general council be authorized to sign on the city's behalf a deed of tolerance to give effect to the aforementioned encroachment agreement.
Moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any discussion?
Okay, so this is basically, it's an encroachment agreement whereby the owners built a patio on the land adjacent to their property. The land was on city land. And the second encroachment agreement is to be executed between the owners and the city in regard to a second encroachment, because on that patio, they put up a pool for their, specifically for their disabled child, and it was during the summer, and so the council felt that this was appropriate to allow them to do that, especially considering the circumstances that we went through this summer.
Thank you, Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Erdely. Any further discussion? Carried unanimously. And now we move on to item 12.1, which is the site planning and architectural programs. Councillor Burke,
Right, okay, so here we go. We're at the end.
get to see pictures.
Okay, I think Councillor Erdely will post the pictures, or if he has them. I don't know if he does. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Erdely. So this is, be it resolved, the site planning and architectural integration program showing a new proposed building accessory, a security booth at JPPS Bialik on lot 2090142 at 6500 Kildare, and prepared by Geiger Huot Architects for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 17, 2020, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc. So here you see this security booth, which Bialik has asked us to approve, and they have done it in keeping with the colors and the bricks and the materials of the principal building.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Burku. So that has been moved by Councillor Burku and seconded by Councillor Cohen. Any other discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously for security for the school. Now we go to minor exemptions, 5644 Westwood. Councillor Burku.
Right, okay, so this one is for minor exemption, won't be long, just let's scroll down. Que conformément aux dispositions du règlement G18-005, qu'une demande de dérogation mineure concernant une propriété localisée au 5644 West Luke, lot 105 28 21 soit par les présentes approuvées, le tout tel que plus amplement décrit ci-dessous. La demande vise à permettre pour une habitation unifamiliale isolée existante et construite en 1956 sous le permis numéro 272 d'être localisée à 1,32 mètres de la ligne de terrain latérale au lieu de la marge de recul latérale minimum de 1,98 mètres. Le tout nonobstant les dispositions du règlement de zonage 2217, annexe B, zone RU 19. So this is truly a minor exemption. The house was built in 1956, a few centimeters too close to the side setback, to the property line.
Okay, moved by Councillor Burku, seconded by Councillor Jafsky, I believe it's your district.
Right.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. We move to item 12.2B, which is again,
Okay.
6,500
This is the
Hebrew
minor exemption, I presume?
for the same.
Okay, so before we approve the design, now we're approving the minor exemption. So be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located 6500 Kildare, being is hereby approved, the whole is more amply delineated hereunder. The request is in order to allow for the construction of an accessory building shed in the front yard instead of at the rear of the main building. So now they're calling it a shed. Well, it's actually a security booth, but just using the language of the zoning bylaw, the whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, article 5-1-1B.
Thank you, Councillor Burku. So it's been moved by Councillor Burku and seconded by Councillor Cohen, should be seconding it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the same item again. All in
Right.
favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously. We're going to go to the stance with Councillor Torgman, but I just want to let everybody know out there, if you haven't started, the chat is open on YouTube, I'm told, to start putting in your questions for the second question period. So if you have any questions, you can post them to the chat, to the YouTube chat, or however it's done. I never see it from the outside, but I want to make sure it works. Okay, so now Councillor Torgman, item number 13, stands to the AGLO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Que ça soit résolu d'établir l'orientation du conseil en vue des séances du conseil d'agglomération qui pourraient être tenues en janvier 2021 comme suit. D'autoriser le maire ou son représentant dûment autorisé à prendre toute décision qu'il jugera appropriée sur les dossiers inscrits à l'ordre du jour des séances du conseil d'agglomération devant se tenir en janvier 2021, en fonction de l'information présentée lors de cette réunion, et ce, dans le meilleur intérêt de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc et de ses résidents.
Proposé par le conseiller Torchman et appuyé par le conseiller Sabag. Tout le monde en faveur. Everyone in favor. Carried unanimously. Now, we're going to go any other business. We will go to the second question period. Please remind, okay, you have to refresh your YouTube screen to allow yourself to post a question. I'm reading from the chat. Thank you, Councillor Erdely. So anybody who wants to post a question has to refresh the YouTube screen in order to post a question. And we're going to go to the second question period now. So I just want to wish everybody, I know it was a long meeting, but it was an informative one, and a lot's happening, and I hope that we're able to move forward this week with some progress on Councillor Burku's initiative along with the city and the ARTM. So let's hope that we get some transit solutions into the city of Côte Saint-Luc. Still no questions. Okay, I want to make sure there's no technical difficulties. Councillor Kajowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to address, it was my constituent who asked a question, the first question period regarding the lead pipes. So I would hope that some of his questions were answered today by the passing of the new grant for the $200 under sink filter, as well as the plan for lead testing for next year. And if Mr. Azarad is still listening, I invite him to reach out to me, and I might even just send him off a quick email to make sure if he has any additional questions that I'm available to speak. And I know, as are you, if he wants any clarification on anything that was addressed in his first question.
Thank you, Councillor Kajowski.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Mayor.
let's make sure, I want to reiterate for everybody who does not have an underwater osmosis system or any system that could ensure that 99% of their lead is removed from their water, they should get one. The city's basically paying for it. $200 rebate, then you don't have to worry about lead until we get to your pipes. Councillor Torchman.
While we're waiting, I just want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah again.
All the best. Okay, so it seems there's no further questions unless there was a technical difficulty. If there was, then, well, we'll have to figure out what that is for next time. But thank you all. I'm going to call for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Cohen, seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor?